Good evening. I want to thank you all for giving me the opportunity to tell you my story. Oftentimes, you see faculty members and you're not sure how did they get to where they are today. Well, statistically, I should not be here. My mother had me at 17, and by the time I was 3, she found herself as a single mother with young children to take care of. My mother moved all over Southern California looking for safer neighborhoods, good quality schools, affordable housing, and economic opportunities for my sisters and I. And I didn't know it at the time, but we were really the first wave of what we'd call the suburban poor. There were times when we struggled to pay our bills. We didn't even have a car. It was hard to get food. It was hard to get to work. It was hard for us to get to school. We even would go to the grocery store at 5 a.m. in the morning so that way my classmates wouldn't see me pushing a cart of groceries down the street. And then don't let me get started on how hard it is to date without a car when you're a teenager in Southern California. It's non-existent. But in all seriousness, my mom was so dedicated and she valued education. And she always told us, make a difference. Put your efforts into education and don't ever forget where you came from. And so I really took that to heart, and she took a job working nights so that she could be home during the day for my sisters and I. And at 16, being the oldest of having 2 younger sisters, I would walk her to work. And my mom really inspired me when I was feeling like, oh, I have all this homework to do, to see that kind of dedication, to know that she was making it better for my sisters and I, made me really focus on my books. I went off to Berkeley as a first-generation college student. And when I got to Berkeley, it was like another world for me. I loved education, I loved learning, and I knew I wanted to make a difference, but I had no idea how. I finally started to figure it out. I remember the first time my professor said, well, what are you going to do for graduate school? Graduate school? What's that? I literally didn't even know that graduate school existed. I thought you just went to college, you wanted to be a lawyer, you take some law classes, you take an exam, you're a lawyer. And I'm being dead serious here. And when he said that, it was like finding out there's no Santa Claus. You know, you're like, what? There's another level of school you have to go through? So I did figure it out, and I ended up going to Yale University where I met Arturo Zavala, my colleague, and he was in a different program. And he said, I'm in the Leadership Alliance, it's great, you should be a part of this. So I went back to Berkeley. The following year, I applied to the SR-EIP program and was accepted, and went to Brown University. And that was a transformative summer because I met such great leaders like Dr. James Weish, Dr. John Salant. We had seminars, and you could really tell how much all of our mentors and faculty and staff were dedicated to making us succeed and helping us grow as young professionals and just to develop our own lives as young adults. That year, our symposia, I was sitting where you were. We went up to MIT where we had our national symposia, and it was life-changing. There were professors like Dr. Joel Oppenheim, Dr. David Redman, and many others, and the students that I met across the other universities that were so encouraging. I was nervous, right? You thought you have to present, you were so nervous. And people were so supportive and asking interesting questions, but all of them said, are you interested in health? You should continue doing something around development and health. You should. So little did I know that that's the trajectory I was gonna be on. I remember having conversations with my mom saying, oh, that's so wonderful, honey. Keep working hard, focus, focus, focus. And at the time, she started going back to nursing school. So both of us were in school at the same time. Then I got back to Berkeley, applied to MIT a few years later, was accepted to the doctoral program. Everything was going great, then I got a call. They said, your mother has gotten very ill and fell down at work. And so being the oldest and the most responsible in the family, I said, Mom, you have to come live with me in Boston. And so I went through my doctoral program. I went with my mom to all the hospitals. I got to know the doctors. And more importantly, I got to see who was in the emergency room. Often it was people of color, often it was women, often it was those that we don't oftentimes value in society or don't have a voice. And then I knew this is the kind of work I want to do. I want to focus on development and health equity. And so from there, I continued on with my studies. Now I'm a tenured professor at Columbia University where I direct the Urban Community and Health Equity Lab. Thank you. Much of my work is around the built environment and health, right? Thinking about not having a car, understanding how hard it was to get access to healthy food, know what it's like to be in a safe neighborhood. So much of my work is development and health, community development, health equity, and then law and governance. So I do that both domestically and internationally. And I'm happy to say that my mom is now doing much better. She lives in Southern California, in Los Angeles. So my family and I will be visiting her next week. So I have my family of my own now, and my kids get to go there. But the thing I want to say to you the most is that, think about what really inspires you. Look around every day and think about those who aren't always having a voice, as even you said earlier about giving a voice to the voiceless. But I wouldn't be here today if it weren't for the Leadership Alliance and the network that is here and the kind of support I got throughout my academic career and still get. And so don't ever let someone tell you that you don't belong, you shouldn't be here, because technically I shouldn't be there. And here I am, and so are you. And at the end of the day, make a difference not only for yourselves, but make a positive difference in the lives of the people around you. So thank you very much for this opportunity.